Chapter 41 Qingyun Xuandao Ju. You are listening at novelfull.audio. By Yang, your job is to get intel on the elves. Wang Li, head to the grasslands and scout out the Taoran and any other tribe movements. Wang Hong, you're on human intelligence. The three of them dropped to one knee in unison. Yes, master. After giving out the assignments, Li Mufan went back to his room, swallowed a Peiyuan pill, and got back to the blueprint in his head. Suddenly, a surge of heat flared up from his dantian, sending warm currents coursing through his limbs, throughout his whole body. Crack, star, something inside him felt like it broke. Is this a breakthrough? Feeling the changes, the rush of energy and blood, Li Mufan felt stronger than ever. All the hard work, fueled by the Peiyuan pill, had finally paid off. Body Refining Realm, Level 1. I did it. He dropped his pen, walked out of his room, and took a deep breath. Now that he'd reached the Body Refining Realm, he wasn't just some weakling anymore, he was a warrior ready to charge into battle. Li Haotian, Wang Fushan, just you wait. He pulled out the fragment of the Qingyun Xuandao Ju he'd found in the cave and couldn't wait to get back to his room and start practicing. This skill had a prerequisite: you couldn't start until you hit the Body Refining Realm. Li Mufan wasn't selfish. He'd shown it to Lu Long and the others, but for some reason, they couldn't get the hang of it. It just gave them headaches. He sat cross-legged on the bed and started following the breathing techniques. He was braced for a headache, but after an hour, he was surprised to find he felt great. Clear-headed and completely relaxed. What's going on? Confused, he hesitated, then asked, System, can colonists learn skills? Colonists' skills are fixed. They cannot practice external techniques. To enhance their strength, you must use system rewards or purchase exclusive skills. Okay, how much are we talking? Give me a ballpark figure. The system replied in its usual monotone. Each exclusive skill ranges from 1 million to 5 million silver. Li Mufan immediately shut down the system. Going back to the Qingyun Xuandao Ju, he found another surprise. This technique wasn't just for the Body Refining Realm, it was for the Psychic Realm too. Isn't it supposed to be impossible for inferior races like humans to break through to the Psychic Realm? But from what this says, if you've got the talent and the opportunities, it's not impossible. He was stumped. He had a gut feeling there was a huge secret hidden in it. Shaking his head, he decided now wasn't the time to worry about it. He could practice this technique, so he would. Simple as that. Most cultivation techniques used on the mainland involved beating your muscles and bones, along with special meals or elixirs. The Qingyun Xuandao Ju drew spiritual energy from the world into the body to nourish it. Combine that with rare natural treasures, and your cultivation would skyrocket. Li Mufan had some real talent. The book said it took the average person 3 days to sense qi. Li Mufan could feel the pulse of spiritual energy in half a day. With bedding and other supplies squared away, there was no reason for Li Mufan to keep having Fan Qingyue warm his bed. But they always slept together. It was inevitable something would happen. After a lot of thinking, he decided to sleep in a separate room, with Fan Qingyue next door, to avoid distractions. In his heart, the female general was his princess-to-be. He just needed to wait for the right moment to have a grand wedding. After practicing all night, he wasn't tired at all. He did a patrol around the camp, feeling refreshed. Everything was in order, so he went back to his room and started practicing again. Chapter 42, The War is About to Start. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Sun Moon City's Royal Palace Garden, Li Haotian waited in a small pavilion, a hopeful look on his face. Soon, Wang Fushan and his daughter arrived. He immediately went to greet them. Mengyu, it's been too long. I've missed you. Wang Mengyu bowed. Your Majesty. I haven't been feeling well these past few days. Thank you for your concern. Her face was pale, and she sounded a little breathless, clearly not well. Quick, please, sit down. Li Haotian looked worried as he helped Wang Mengyu to a seat in the pavilion. Thank you, Your Majesty. Once she was seated, Li Haotian asked, What did the imperial doctor say? Anything you need, just ask. Wang Mengyu smiled faintly and shook her head. Just a little cold. Nothing serious. I just heard that the barbarian Yo clan, along with every tribe on the grassland, is preparing to invade with a 1,000,000-strong army. What are your plans, Your Majesty? Li Haotian sighed. The grasslands are far from the capital. By the time the news reached us, they'd probably already set out. Shiha Kingdom will be the first to suffer, and they're in no shape to defend themselves. I imagine the Empire's call for help is coming soon. Wang Mengyu frowned. Our kingdom also borders the grasslands to the northwest. There's no guarantee we won't be attacked. Your Majesty needs to prepare early. I've already ordered Moroning to station 100,000 troops at the border. Plus, I've mobilized Xuanhuan from Dongshan City, ordering him to rush to support with 50,000 men. That should be enough. Wang Mengyu nodded. 150,000 at the border should give the barbarian Yo clan pause. The Prime Minister, Wang Fuchen, spoke up, even if our vassal states can hold them off for a while, eventually they'll be overwhelmed and weakened. We need to send envoys to Yunda City immediately and get the Emperor to send troops to fight these invaders. Wang Mengyu agreed. My father's right. After a century of reform, the Empire's stronger than we realize. If they send troops, they'll crush those foreign invaders. Alright, I'll take your advice. I'll send envoys to Yunda City at once to find out what the Empire is doing. After a moment, Wang Mengyu said, Your Majesty, if the Empire sends troops and wins, we can take advantage of the situation and seize land on the grassland. And if the Empire fails, the Shiha Kingdom is done for. The grassland tribes only know how to pillage. When they retreat, Your Majesty can send troops to chase them down and, while we're at it, take the cities they abandoned as our own. Li Haotian laughed. Exactly. Let's do it. Wang Mengyu smiled faintly. They discussed the details, then Wang Mengyu suddenly remembered something. Your Majesty, have any of the people you sent to Chaos Corner reported back yet? The Prime Minister's been handling that. Li Haotian turned to Wang Fuchen. Have you received any news? Wang Fuchen shook his head with a wry smile. I've sent out dozens of top spies, and none of them have found any trace of those rebels. Li Haotian was surprised. They wear bright armor, easy to spot. Could it be they didn't go to Chaos Corner? After a moment, Wang Mengyu shook her head. He raises private soldiers and hides weapons. He has ambitions. If he wants to make a name for himself, Chaos Corner is the perfect place. He's cunning. I bet they've broken up into smaller groups, biding their time through the winter, waiting to strike in the spring. Good point. Li Haotian said. Prime Minister. Keep sending people to Chaos Corner. Find those rebels. Chapter 43, Shocking News. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Yun Qin Empire's imperial palace, it was time for the court meeting. Inside the majestic hall, civil officials stood to the left, military generals to the right, all paying homage to the current emperor, Qingyun. After the formalities, a middle-aged general stepped forward. Your Majesty, he announced, border scouts report that a 200,000-strong vanguard of the Mania tribe is advancing south, heading straight for Shiha Kingdom. We await your command. Emperor Qingyun, seated high on the throne, surveyed his assembled court. The grassland tribes are aggressively encroaching. What are your suggestions? A civil servant spoke first. Your Majesty, this conflict is resulting in unacceptable losses. I propose we dispatch an envoy immediately to Guanming City, seeking intervention from the elf chieftain to mediate a peaceful resolution. The middle-aged general scoffed. Guanming City is a world away. It'll take 2 months, round trip. By then, Shiha Kingdom will be gone, a civil official retorted, then send envoys to the grasslands. Offer them tribute, by their withdrawal. More handouts. How much has the Empire already sent to those barbarians over the centuries? It never stops them. A general snapped back. Better to pay than fight. A major war will cost the empire 1,000 times more. The court erupted into argument, civilians and military officials clashing. This had become a tradition since the Yun-Qin Empire's reforms. Ministers could speak freely, and heated debates were common. In the past, these arguments sometimes even turned into brawls. Qingyun watched the uproar with detached interest, occasionally glancing towards the hall's entrance, as if anticipating news. Soon enough, a messenger burst in. Report. A secret agent reports that, 20 days ago, the Elf tribe and the Yasha tribe clashed on the eastern coast for unknown reasons. Hundreds of thousands from each side are locked in fierce combat. The court was stunned. 2 Xian-level races at war. Before anyone could recover, another messenger stumbled in. Report. The Blood Wolf clan has launched a major invasion from the south, razing 6 border towns. General Yin has been defeated and has retreated into Xuanhuan city with the remnants of his forces. Qingyun asked, his voice devoid of emotion. Casualties. The messenger hesitated, then, meeting the emperor's cold gaze, stammered, the entire 100,000-strong army was wiped out. 400,000 civilians were slaughtered. What? An elderly official with a white beard collapsed at the news. Silence fell over the court. Rep. Ort. Another messenger arrived, breathless. Frontline report. The Mania tribe's vanguard broke through Shiha Kingdom's border yesterday, massacring 500,000 civilians who couldn't escape. Horrific news, one blow after another. In just days, nearly 1 million lives had been brutally extinguished. Qingyun rose slowly, his gaze sweeping over the assembled officials. After a moment, he spoke, his voice resonating with power. The Yun-Qin Empire has enjoyed peace for too long. It's time we flexed our muscles. By my decree, the second prince will lead an army of 500,000 north, joining forces with Shiha Kingdom, Sun Moon Kingdom, and Shaping Kingdom to halt the Manyu clan's advance. Summon General Fan. He will raise an army of 2 million, supported by 3,000 generals, and march south to exterminate the Blood Wolf clan. Leave no trace of them. The ministers exchanged glances, then replied as one, we obey. The camp buzzed with activity in the early morning. Civilians were already up, starting their day under the supervision of their leaders. Wang Ping, promoted to secretary by a female general because of his education, now managed the warehouse, overseeing all incoming and outgoing supplies. It was a crucial position, handling vast amounts of money and goods. Many in the camp envied him. General Zhang, you're here. Still collecting rations for 300 men today. Zhang Tai chuckled. Not quite, Xiao Wang. The young master assigned me 100 prisoners yesterday. Add 50 more pemmican cakes to the order. Wang Ping frowned, hesitant. General, do you have an order from the master or General Fan? Order. What for? Zhang Tai scratched his head. Never needed one before. General, I received a new directive yesterday. All changes to orders require authorization from the young master or General Fan. You see. Zhang Tai's good humor faded. Give it to me now, and I'll have someone get you the order later. General Zhang, please don't put me in this position. If General Fan finds out, I'll be in deep trouble. Zhang Tai glared at the thin scholar before him, then, he burst out laughing. All right, I'm a reasonable man. Let's go find Xiao Fan and get the order. He turned and left, watching Zhang Tai's massive form disappear. Wang Ping sighed with relief. He'd heard that these soldiers had fought side by side with the leader in countless battles, forging unbreakable bonds. Dealing with them was never easy. It had been over 20 days since he came to the mountain. It was a mixed experience, first worry, then happiness. He went from being constantly out of breath to adapting to camp life. His outlook had changed completely. Before, he might have struggled to eat, even working hard. He was educated and had ambitions, but those didn't matter in that harsh environment. But since coming to the mountain, he realized this wasn't just another bandit hideout, but a thriving community. He worked hard every day, but he was fed, and everyone had recently received a set of winter clothes, a lifesaver in the freezing weather. He realized that while some might grumble, everyone had come to respect the young commander, and he was no different. Thanks to the trust of the commander and the other leaders, he had this important job, and he felt a deep sense of belonging. Chapter 44, Base Construction Enters Orbit. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Wang Ping was lost in thought when he spotted the chieftain and a few generals heading his way, laughing and chatting. He took a deep breath and offered a polite smile. Li Mufan, along with Qiang, Xuanhuan, and a show, strolled through the camp, greeting the villagers with a smile. Looks like civilian loyalty is above 60%. Xuanhuan chuckled. Master, they're eating Kai Lian's cooking, so of course they're happy. Kai Lian, a colonist from the space base, was in charge of food. Her level 18 cooking skills made for some tasty meals. Li Mufan laughed. Delicious or not, they should just be grateful they're getting enough to eat every day. Oh, Qiang, how's that project I asked you about coming along? Master, the drone guns and power cores are installed. Just flip the switch, and they're good to go. Great. Let's go take a look. Later, at the base's newly built administrative center, after a non-stop grind of over 10 days, and with dozens of prisoners dying from exhaustion along the way, the administrative center was finally complete. The 5-story building stood tall in the center of the camp, resembling an office building from back in the day, serious and imposing. Perched atop a stone statue on the building's roof was a fist-sized gem, pried from the crown they'd found in the cave. After giving it some thought, Li Mufan decided to erect a statue of his ancestors and offer the gem as a sign of respect. Plus, tucked away in a corner of the roof was a fiberglass drone gun. This piece of ring-world tech would automatically fire upon any enemy that appeared, making it a powerful defense. Qiang, what about the cable construction? Qiang grimaced. Master, we're short on copper around here. Really? How much copper do you need? To run it all the way from the cave? We're talking at least 2,000 kilograms. Li Mufan frowned. I'll handle that. In the meantime, get started on the city wall and the shipyard. And we need public stuff too, toilets, drainage. Think you can manage? Qiang hesitated. The tech and materials aren't the problem, but if we're doing 3 things at once, we're going to be stretched thin. Progress will be slow. The camp needed manpower everywhere. Even if the Royal Guard camp soldiers were all muscle and could take on 10 guys each, it still wouldn't be enough. Alright, let's prioritize for now. I'll figure out the population issue later. Changing the subject, he asked Xuanhuan, how's the planting area looking? When are we expecting a harvest? Master, I used soil cultivation to boost the land's fertility 8-fold. Plus, those crop seeds from the space base are super cold resistant. We should be harvesting in about a month. Xuanhuan had mastered the soil tech and could whip up a potent fertilizer for a big yield. Good work. Food prices in the space base are crazy. Not a sustainable solution. This should solve a real problem for us. Xuanhuan smiled. All thanks to you, Master. She was cheerful now, just like a regular girl. A show, what's the situation on your end? The handsome A show looked glum. Master, I'm sorry to report that General Liu has killed off most of the wild beasts. We've only managed to tame some wild goats. Li Mufan recalled the wolf meat he'd eaten the other day and shook his head, speechless. Try checking the Yinsong River area. Lots of water and grass there. Might be some herds, but be careful. Yes, Master. He chatted with the 3 of them a bit longer, giving some instructions, then headed back to his room to practice his exercises. He was currently at the peak of the first level of body refinement. After popping that tiger wolf pill, his strength was on par with Fan Qingyun, who was at the 2nd level. Besides the Peiyuan pill, the biggest factor in his rapid progress was his magical exercises. This Qingyun Xuandao was definitely an ancient secret. Nourishing his body with spiritual energy was way faster than just brute force training. It gave him a solid foundation, plenty of energy, and made him 3 times stronger than other warriors in the same realm. Chapter 45 Gold Card obtained. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the cave, Li Mufan sat on a bluestone, his eyes closing as he entered the ring world. Ding dong. Host has established an administrative center, becoming a lord. Rewarded with 1 item card and a 10% strength boost for all colonists. The system notification popped into his mind as soon as he arrived. Ding dong. Colonist Xuanhuan, previously bottlenecked, has now advanced to the 3rd level of the body refining realm. Li Mufan was thrilled. He'd been worried about the colonists' slow progress, and this showed there were options besides expensive training manuals. He found Xuanhuan in the entertainment room, glued to the TV. He resisted the urge to nag her and instead sat on the sofa, asking, "Xuanhuan, how's the recruitment going?" "Oh, master. Reporting in, we've recruited 8 members from hunter fleets." Li Mufan had only entered the space briefly a couple of times. After assigning tasks, he'd been focused on training. He'd been attacked by a small hunter fleet, and while he'd profited, he'd also taken prisoners. He realized the hunters, though unskilled, were good fighters, and an idea sparked. 8. Not bad. Give them all gene enhancers. Yes, master. After Xuanhuan left, he went straight back to training. Besides physical conditioning, the Qingyun Xuandao Ju also included secret techniques. As a spiritual body in the ring world, standard practice was useless, so he focused on these. He was currently working on a light body technique, aiming to become as light as a feather, capable of scaling walls and roofs. Could be useful down the line. 3 days later, the base alarm blared. Warning. Mechanical enemies have airdropped near the base. Attack imminent. Prepare for defense. Li Mufan was taken aback. Mechanicals. He rushed out of his room, immediately organizing defenses. The mechanical tribe, like the hunter fleets, was a major threat, known for their tough hides and resilience. Moments later, the battle began. The first wave, mechanical mantises. These robots wielded electric sniper rifles with both long range and strong close combat capabilities. Their range exceeded the automatic machine guns. Their accurate shots chipped away at the drone gun durability outside the city wall. Li Mufan frowned and shouted, "Mortars. Don't just stand there, bombard them." "Yes sir." The new hunter recruits sprang into action, operating the mortars. Bang, bang, bang. Shells rained down, exploding on the open ground. Several mechanical mantises were blown to bits, and one flashed a green light. Item card. Li Mufan grinned. Behind the mantises came the main force, mechanical centipedes. These slow-moving behemoths had heavy armor and were armed with rapid-fire machine guns and grenade launchers. Mishandling them would mean casualties. Seeing the centipedes entering range, Li Mufan yelled, "Fire!" Da-da-da! A hail of bullets ripped into the centipedes, but the 2 were tough and returned fire even as they fell. Ding, ding, ding. A drone gun turret went down. Colonist Triumph took a hit, his right arm becoming useless. Li Mufan was alarmed. This was the first injury he'd seen in the ring world after so many battles. "Triumph, fall back. Get yourself patched up." "Yes, master." Focused fire finally brought down the 2 centipedes, but more crawled into position, unleashing a fresh barrage of bullets. This was the fiercest battle since entering the ring world, lasting nearly an hour. The base suffered, 10 machine gun towers destroyed and 7 colonists injured before finally repelling the mechanicals. The losses were considerable, but with great risk came great reward. Li Mufan held a golden card in his hand. Chapter 46, Leopard Head Lin Chong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. According to the system, this summoning card is one of the rarest finds in the ring world. Using this card lets you randomly summon a famous figure from history. The system will buy it back for 50,000 silver. Whoa, 50,000 silver. That's a fortune. After a long pause, he decided to use the card. Ding dong. You've summoned Lin Chong. Lin Chong, Body Refining Realm, Level 2. Commander, 81, Politics, 33, Strategy, 32, Special Ability, Coach, Lin Chong, former coach of the 800,000 Imperial Guards in Tokyo, excels at training soldiers, increasing their combat effectiveness by 10%. Coach Lin, Li Mufan was stunned, feeling both thrilled and disappointed. He was thrilled by his luck. Coach Lin's stats were great. A commander rating of 81 put him on par with Lu Long, a leader in his own right, but he was also disappointed that he didn't get a civil servant. He desperately needed someone to help shoulder the administrative burden. Ding dong. Lin Chong's memories have been implanted. He'll be joining you shortly. He nodded and exited the system. Now he needed to deal with the aftermath of the war. Cultivation flies by, and 10 days passed in a blur. He came back to his senses to find 8 people in the cave with him. He'd spent a hefty 80,000 to bring these 8 colonists from the hunter fleet. Looking at the 4 men and 4 women, he said firmly, "We're forming the Hunter Special Forces. Black Moon, you're in charge." Black Moon was a young woman with a cool demeanor. She'd reached the 2nd level of the body refining realm, and the rest of the team were at the 1st level. The hunter fleet colonists had undergone intense training. Besides their strength, they were highly experienced in special ops. In his plan, they were his territory's elite force, a dagger aimed at the enemy's heart when it mattered most. 3 days later, in the barracks meeting room. Seeing that everyone was present, Li Mufan cut to the chase. Alright, 2 things on the agenda today. First, the city wall. Qiang, give us the rundown on the wall. Qiang glanced at the others and said, "Construction's underway. We're using a mix of blue and white stone and cement, so it'll be strong, no question. The real question is how high and thick it should be, and what to make the gate out of. You guys probably have more insight than me." Everyone fell silent, considering the issue. Finally, Lu Long spoke. "My lord, I think we should build it to royal city standards. 6 meters high, 2 meters wide. That's enough to handle most siege weapons." Li Mufan nodded. Everyone agree. They all answered, no objections. Li Mufan smiled faintly, then asked, "Lu Long, what are the common siege weapons on the continent these days?" "Master, the yellow-level races don't really have large-scale siege weapons, mostly just ladders. Humans have battering rams, catapults, stuff like that. As for the black-level races, I don't know. If the elves attacked, how do you think they'd go about it?" Everyone looked surprised, glancing at each other. Clearly, they hadn't considered that. After a moment, Lu Long answered. "I've heard elves are great with bows and arrows, and they have powerful mages. I'd guess they'd start with a barrage of arrows to suppress the defenders before trying to breach the walls." Chapter 47 Bad News. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Mufan asked calmly, "So, how do elven bows and arrows stack up against ours?" Silence fell over the room. Lin Chong, standing at the back, spoke up. "Sir, generals, I've traveled in bright elf territory. The adult male elves are incredibly skilled archers. They can practically pierce a tree from 100 paces, and their accuracy is amazing even at longer ranges." He paused, then continued, unfazed by the attention. "Our camp's bows and arrows are high quality, but the elves are too. As things stand, we'd have a hard time holding our own against an equal number of elven troops." Li Mufan nodded. "The Xian race lives up to its reputation. Coach Lin, based on your experience, how high would the city wall need to be to neutralize the elves' archery advantage?" Lin Chong considered this. "General, I'd say at least twice as high." "Double." A collective gasp filled the room. Doubling the height would mean a wall of 12 battles, nearly 40 meters high. A truly massive structure. Any other opinions on Coach Lin's proposal? Li Mufan asked. Qiang spoke. "Sir, doubling the wall will make construction much harder and take much longer. What was supposed to take a month could take 3. He paused. "Plus, with our current equipment, relying on manpower would likely cause casualties." Li Mufan looked around and made his decision. "Build it according to Coach Lin's plan. Take your time, and use the prisoners for all the dangerous work. I'll figure out the personnel issue. That settles the city wall. Next up, the shipyard. I'm planning to establish a Qingyun naval force. Let's hear your thoughts. Eyes widened around the room. The Sun and Moon Kingdom was landlocked. The idea of needing a navy seemed absurd. Seeing the blank looks, Li Mufan's face reddened. I always hear you guys bragging, but now you're all speechless. That he already had a plan in mind, but their lack of input frustrated him. Anything he said would just be wasted. Forget it. We'll discuss this later. Meeting adjourned. That he started to leave, but the conference room door burst open and a figure stumbled inside. Li Mufan was surprised. Wang Li, weren't you scouting Yinqin? What happened to you? Ignoring the shocked faces, Wang Li dropped to his knees with a thud. Sir, the barbarian bull tribe and the blood wolf tribe attacked from the north and south, destroying 16 cities. They slaughtered 1 million of our people. What? The news hit them like a bombshell. Fan Qingyun nearly fainted. Lin Chong sighed, and tears streamed down the weathered faces of Lu Long and Zhang Tai. Li Mufan stood frozen, ashen-faced. Millions wiped out. Wang Li's voice trembled as he continued, Sir, generals, the grassland tribes are moving south. The Sun and Moon Kingdom has closed its borders. On my way back, I encountered nearly 30,000 refugees fleeing to the Jinlan Plain. Chapter 48 Being Ridiculed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the northern Jinlan Plain, nestled among the Lost Mountains, are numerous bandit hideouts, big and small. They survive by preying on passing caravans and raiding nearby villages. It's a melting pot of elves and barbarian tribes, and with plenty of caravans and scattered villages on the plain, banditry is a lucrative business. Haifengcai, or Black Wind Village, was founded by outcasts from the Earth Demon clan. Their natural strength and thick hides have made them the dominant force in the region. Currently, 18 leaders from surrounding villages, both large and small, are gathered in Black Wind Village's hall. Boss Demon, one of the Goblin Village chiefs says, the 30,000 human refugees are almost here. You're the top dog. How are we splitting them up? The Iron Wolf clan leader chuckled. Humans are always in demand. The elves love human slaves, especially the young girls with soft skin. Easy, old wolf. We all know about your tastes. You might be lucky this time, but I bet even you wouldn't touch those women you've ruined. Ah. You don't want M, I'll keep M. And you, old dog, don't go throwing stones. I remember the mess you made of that last human village you hit. The hall erupted in laughter. The goblin commander, sitting at the head of the table, joined in. Speaking of which, I heard a human village went missing a month ago, and the goblin tribe next door got wiped out too. Wonder who was behind that. Sounds like someone got a nice payday and didn't share with the rest of the crew. The other leaders went silent, staring at the goblin commander. He shrank back, looking uneasy. Brothers, I heard some human bandits showed up, got into it with our village, and just wiped them all out. Took the people from the human villages, too. Oh. Now this is interesting, the Earth Demon leader said, humans getting tough all of a sudden. I gotta see this for myself. Just then, a scream echoed from the doorway. An Earth Demon minion was hurled into the hall. No need to wait. I'm right here. The assembled leaders were stunned. Turning to face the entrance, a group of human soldiers in shining armor strode in, surrounding a young man. Holding a powwow like this without inviting me? Looks like you're not taking our human villages seriously. The demon leader snarled, who are you and what do you want? Aren't I the bandit you were just talking about? The Iron Wolf leader yelled, so it's you. Got some nerve, wiping out a goblin village and then swaggering in here. Li Mufan glanced at him dismissively. Heh, leaders are planning to profit from my human refugees. How could I miss out on my cut? A sneer twisted the demon leader's ugly face. There are easily 1,000 warriors here. How many are you bringing to the table to claim a share? My little group has just over 200 soldiers. Ha ha ha, one of the kobold leaders cackled, humans, you've got barely 200 guys, and you think you can call the shots. With your puny numbers, I wouldn't even sweat it if you had 20,000. 200. Ha ha ha, go home and cry to your mama, that the other leaders joined in the laughter, jeering at him. Chapter 49 I Want It All. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Earth Demon leader waved his hand dismissively. Alright, this human's just passing through. Someone, get him a chair. Instantly, a lackey scurried over with a rickety little wooden chair. It looked ridiculous next to the leader's fancy fur throne. The aliens roared with laughter. The Earth Demon leader chuckled. So, how do you want to split it, human? Mufon grinned. I want it all. Huh, that the aliens' eyes bugged out. Then, like they'd just heard the best joke ever, they erupted in hysterical laughter. Ha! They say humans are smart. I'm not seeing it, that the Earth Demon leader nearly choked laughing. All of it? Human, are you out of your mind? I'm feeling generous today, so I'll let you walk. Think it over and come back later. Mufon remained perfectly calm, he just smiled. Alright, if that's how it is, let the best man win. Let me know when you're starting so I can be ready. The demon chief's smile vanished. He said coldly, fine. We're moving out tomorrow. You better not show your face, or we'll kill you too. Hey, boss, this kid's kinda cute. Why not grab him now? Could fetch a good price, that the demon chief smirked. No rush. Like I said, I'm in a good mood. Get out of here. Mufon glared at the aliens, then turned and walked away. His departure was met with another round of mocking laughter. On the way back to camp, Fan Qingyun, disguised as a man, asked, puzzled, Master, why didn't you just attack and capture them? Instead, you let them make a fool of you. Mufon smiled at the angry female general. Killing them solves nothing. If the boss goes down, another one will just take his place. What do you mean, Master? The alien hideouts are well hidden. It took us forever to find this Black Wind stronghold. Tracking down and destroying them one by one would take way too long. A glint of determination sparked in his eyes. Knowing they're moving out tomorrow is all we need. The next day, as the morning sun rose, the Jinlan plain teemed with what looked like countless black specks. A closer look revealed they were human refugees fleeing famine. There were easily 30 or 40,000 of them. Among them, a girl trudged along, carrying a boy of about 10 on her back. Both were pale and gaunt. A bloodstain marred the boy's pants, indicating an injury. Sister, are we there yet? I'm so hungry. The girl forced a smile. Xiaoyu, just a little further. We'll find a place to settle down soon. The little boy's voice was weak. I miss Daddy and Mommy. The girl's eyes welled up, but she squeezed his hand. Xiaoyu, Daddy and Mommy are waiting for us up ahead. You have to stay awake. Were parents really waiting for them? Or were they walking into the clutches of ruthless bandits? Suddenly, chaos erupted up ahead, and the girl heard a panicked shout. The aliens are coming. Run, that she gasped. Hadn't they said there was no war in the Elven territories? Why was this happening? The small girl tried to stay out of the way while looking up. The sight that greeted her made her scream. In the sky, a volley of arrows arced toward them. It was the Arc of Death. Chapter 50 Is this still a human being? You are listening at novelfull.audio. She closed her eyes, hoping to see her parents soon and finally be done with this waiting. Suddenly, a sharp sound cut through the air. Ding! Her eyes snapped open. A knight in shining armor, mounted on a snow-white horse, stood between her and whatever lay ahead. Little girl, are you all right? He extended a hand, a gentle smile on his face, his voice like music. She tried to thank him, but her voice trembled, and she realized she was crying. Mufon sighed softly. He scooped up the children, handing the boy to Fan Qingyun. The girl squirmed in his arms. It's okay, he reassured, patting her shoulder. Qingyun, get some people to comfort the refugees. Turning to his troops, he commanded, Lu Long, form a line. Prepare for battle. Yes, sir. On the wide-open plain, over 200 armed warriors formed a protective wall, shielding the refugees behind them. In the distance, tens of thousands of bandits, frustrated by the unexpected resistance, were also organizing. Boss, it's that kid from yesterday, the leader, a brute called Earth Demon, sneered, he's in over his head. Is everyone here? Earth Demon asked. The dog-headed man replied, yeah, over 10,000 strong. Good. Earth Demon roared, go. Box them in. Kill. With a blood-curdling cry, the bandits charged. They were sure that the tiny force of human soldiers wouldn't stand a chance. When they were in range, Lu Long bellowed, fire. Swish. A volley of arrows ripped through the air, screams erupted as bandits fell like wheat before a scythe. Archers, fire. Charge. Charge. Arrows rained down from the bandit camp, but the shots were scattered and weak, a far cry from the disciplined volleys of the human soldiers. Ding, ding, ding. The bandits were stunned to see that the arrows had barely scratched the human soldiers. Earth Demon's eyes widened. Their arrows couldn't even pierce the armor. Armor. Holy crap. They're all wearing full armor. The guard camp has been taking Peiyuan Dan for days, and half of them have broken through the body refining realm one after another. The tiger and wolf pills later greatly increased their strength. Another volley. In a matter of seconds, another rain of arrows fell. The screams were deafening. How could the bandits in their simple leather armor withstand the force of iron-tipped arrows? 2 volleys in, and hundreds of corpses littered the ground. Something's wrong with these guys. Charge. Get in close, one of the bandit leaders roared. Brace yourselves and fire. Swish. Another deadly volley shot out, the arrows flashing with a cold, deadly light. The horizontal shots weren't as far-reaching, but they packed a much bigger punch. The guards, enhanced with pills and brute strength, were a force to be reckoned with. An arrow would tear through the first bandit, not lose momentum, and then nail the fourth in line to the ground. Ack! What kind of arrows are those? The bandit leaders watching from afar were in shock. They had never seen anything like it. Were these humans even human anymore?